Hey, two crime besties, welcome to another episode. Here we go. This one's a big one too.
It is. It's really big. My brain's exploding with this one, and like passionately as well. I think we could get a bit fired up with this one.
I feel like we're going to. However,
Yeah.
this case has completely fucked with my mind.
Oh, I am all over the show as to
Same.
what my thoughts are in this, but I think that's almost what she wants.
Yeah.
Yep.
But does she? No, she does. It's crazy. And I don't actually really even know what I believe. So
No.
at the end of the episode, look, maybe I'll form some opinions as we discuss
as
it
we
because,
chat.
because you and I have not discussed. We started
Well.
to the other day and I was like, we cannot talk about this because we need to save it for the recording. But
Yep.
it is, it's mental.
Yep. Completely mental.
Yeah.
So we're talking today about Casey Anthony, but more specifically, as I think it needs to be brought back to, Kayleigh Anthony.
That's right.
Oh yeah, like this one is it's huge. It was huge in America, absolutely huge in America. And I've always I'd known about this case. I'd heard bits about it. I'd never deep dived any of it. I'd never listened to any other podcasts on this topic. It's only what I've picked from media, bits and pieces that I knew about it. Oh my God!
I'd listen to maybe a short form podcast or so, like an episode about it, but I'm not in any depth at all.
Yep.
And as you said, oh my God. Anyway, before we get into it,
Yep.
It'd be remiss of us not to, have a bit of a chat about the week and see how things are going. How are you?
I'm great, especially when I see you bring in a big haul from the door. As you get those deliveries here, I love it.
Oh, every Friday. They probably think it's, I've got a bit of a shopping problem probably. But every Friday we get something delivered, don't we?
You do. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
So today was a Shein order. I think I said to you, I'm not really sure how $2 plus $2 plus $4 plus $8 equals $260, but here we are.
Yeah.
But we've got, several celebrations coming up in the family and I just went to town a bit because,
Love it.
things are only $4 and you're like, oh yeah, I'll have 4 of those and 7 of those.
So
and
cheap. Can't afford not to buy it.
Exactly. And then you get those coupons and 50% off this and 100% off that.
Oh, don't you love that? Yeah, that random 100% off. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's really not.
No. What?
I love the way they scam you in that shit. It's just like, I'm going to fall for it anyway.
Yeah. You were saying that you have that same problem when you go to Kmart. You pick up a couple of things and you think it's going to be like $10
I
and you get to the cash register.
I'm a shocker in Kmart. I'm the homewares shit.
Oh, I love that stuff though.
And I've, weirdly enough, and you're going to absolutely lose it over this. So, you know me, I'm not into candles.
No.
Turns out.
Which one?
So since we've now been and done that candles, we went to a candle workshop and made our own candles. I'm now like, I think I need candles burning in my house.
What?
So I thought I'd just start with some cheapo ones, in terms of the Kmart ones and buying a few of those, and I light them at home and stuff. I know, who am I? I don't know anymore.
Who the fuck are you and what have you done with my two crime besties? There is a candle at the minute at Kmart that I absolutely love. I think you would have smelt it. I think I actually had it burning when we were recording last week.
Oh, that wood one.
It's got like a wood wick, which I love because it kind of actually sounds like a bit like an open fire.
Because I've got a wood wick one that I'm sitting things with me because I'm still not. I'm not au fait with candles yet. I'm still learning.
Okay.
Right. That I've got
I'm
a
not
really
quite sure
nice.
what you need to learn.
I don't know either, but this is where I'm like, do I need to know more about this? Because I've got this really beautiful country road candle that smells divine when I smell it, but I haven't. It's a wood wick one, and so I'm like, I think I need to burn others and get better at burning candles before I light that one because it's obviously a better one. I don't know what.
Seriously,
I know. I really don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, give it a go with these woodwick ones. I think they're maybe. I feel like it's maybe $12 or something from Kmart.
Yeah.
And it's a soy blend candle, so we know after doing our candle making, you don't want a soy blend, you want pure. But it's citrus and mint.
Oh.
And it is
I probably can't burn that in my house then.
Refreshing. Oh, you wouldn't
Sounds
be able
amazing.
to. You wouldn't be able to when the kids
Mason's
are home.
home.
But maybe on the when they're not there.
All right. Oh, now
give it a go.
Now I'm going to have to go to Kmart.
Sorry, Del.
Spend another $200.
Yeah. Buy a candle
Buy a
and spend
$12
$200. Yeah.
Oh, twist my arm. I mean,
Sorry.
seriously.
Yeah.
If only their clothes section was better, but the homeware stuff I
find their clothes can be a bit hit and miss.
It's hit and miss. There's at times you'll get something good and then you'll get fuck all.
Yeah. Then there's not great stuff.
Yeah.
But There's people, I follow a few people on Instagram who do Kmart try-on hauls.
But they always look good in those.
They look great.
And then you go in and get it and you're like, but it's all out of shape. And
it's not going to wash well.
No.
Yeah.
The kids stuff, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind a bit of Kmart kids stuff. I think their quality is pretty reasonable. I actually find that their T-shirts are good. I find the Kmart, the Target ones, the cheap ones, you wash them and they go like off center or something.
Yeah.
Whereas the Kmart ones do hold up well.
That's true.
But but I don't know, the adults' clothing's a bit just say it's hit and miss big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do love me a bit of Kmart.
Oh, but yeah, Shein's one where I've fallen down that rabbit hole before and I've banned myself now. I'm like, no, don't go there.
I was telling you about my first ever Shein order.
Yes.
This was years ago. I feel like it was during COVID, actually.
Oh, you were onto them early?
Yeah. Or was it early? I don't even know. But I bought a T-shirt and it was this lovely T-shirt. I still remember it. It was white T-shirt with like rainbow confetti polka dots on it. Stunning. Loved it. It came and it would not have even fit on a standard size doll.
I love that.
Worst $8 I've ever spent. So I haven't bought clothes from there again.
No,
and
I love that when
you
emailed them back to sort of go, hey, what the deal? They just blocked you.
They blocked my number, my email address, so I couldn't even contact them.
Oh, don't complain to us, Cal.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. Fair, fine, whatever.
Oh, God, I love that. I mean, yeah, as I said to you, I've done the Shein haul and I had like 5 items and out of the 5, I kept 1.
I feel like 1 out of 5 ain't bad. Although, how much did you pay for the 5?
I feel like it was under $100 for 5 items.
So now that's cost you $100 for 1 T-shirt, or did you return?
No, I returned.
Okay.
And look, that process was pretty easy, but apparently, like for your first one, you get that for free to return. But I think from then on, you have to pay for returns. I think. I vaguely remember reading that, kind of going, right, well, this is it, because if only 1 out of 5 hit, then I'm not going to risk it again. Because the other ones, it wasn't like the items I got them and went, oh no, it is a bit tighter than I thought or something. They were like not
what you ordered.
What I ordered. Like, as in the material was disgusting and it was never going to look good.
It wasn't going to be good.
No.
I introduced a friend this week to the joys of shopping through the Iconic. Oh. So the Iconic have all good brands and
Iconic's
stuff.
Great.
And they often have like really good sales.
Yes.
But they also do free 30-day returns. So I've done this. I've ordered a few dresses for my party.
Order like 2 sizes or something. Yeah.
And you just return it and you get your money back. Yeah. Like, it's just such an easy way to shop. It's so convenient.
I do like that. And the Iconic's good for that, for shoes, because I actually don't like shopping online for shoes. I've got wide feet. I need to be able to put my foot in them. But at least with there, you can order, a size or 2 of them and then go, no, well, I want these ones, not those ones, and return.
For nothing. It's such a good business model. Well done, the Iconic.
Yeah.
Do you want to sponsor us? We'd be happy.
Go for it.
We'd be
yes,
happy.
Please. Anyone?
At this stage, we'll take anyone.
We're not desperate. No.
Actually, speaking of which, we had a really lovely person buy us a coffee today, this week.
Yes.
So if anybody would like to buy us a coffee, you can do so via buymeacoffee.com/2crimebesties from Terry Shannon, who bought us a coffee. So thank you so much, Terry. We really appreciate the support. It doesn't go unnoticed with us that people have actually put their hard-earned money and decided to buy us a coffee with it. So thank you very,
grateful.
Very much.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate all of our listeners.
All of them.
Fantastic. But people particularly that go that extra mile and do that for us. It's really fabulous because it makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. And if you can't buy us a coffee, or if that's not up your alley, totally fine. If you can click us a like or a subscribe, those things go
or
massively
share
towards,
and tell your friends about us, spread the word. That's even as equally as good as a coffee.
Or follow us on TikTok. We've been getting some good traction over there. So the more we build up that base, the better it is too.
The comment section in the TikToks at the moment is really, I love getting in there.
Oh, it's great. And I feel like people are getting more engaged on that platform, as opposed to we don't get that many comments really on our Instagram posts or anything like that, but definitely on TikTok we're seeing that coming through. So thank you to everybody who's engaging over there.
Love this. It's good. Yay.
Yeah. Very good. Should we get into the episode?
Let's really dive in, because wow, we've got a lot to discuss, and I'm so keen to hear your perspective on things and on this one, and
I don't know.
Yeah.
So when I normally research, my general pattern of what I do is at the start of the week, I really listen to as many things as I can, watch what I can, and then sort of towards maybe Tuesday, Wednesday night, we always record on a Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, I'll then write my notes because that's how I sort of organize all of that information in my head. And I'll go back over things that I wasn't quite sure of or things I wanted to find out more information about. This case, I couldn't do that because there was just so much, and there's so many different accounts of all these different things that have happened. So I actually ended up just doing what you normally do, and I got out like a note in my phone, the note app in my phone, and I've just, as I was hearing things, I'm literally writing like notes to prompt my memory.
Yeah.
And then last night when I was looking over those, I'm like, fuck, this is so fucked up. And some of the things I've written, as we get to them, I'll let you know what I wrote down because I actually just can't even believe some of these things came out of these people's mouths.
No, this is it. It's the whole, everyone in this is a bit fucked up.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, so from the get-go, as I said earlier, I knew about this case and knew that there was, that people had a strong feeling of this case. And I knew that she'd been acquitted. We can go there already, that, there wasn't anyone held accountable for this. And so when I came into it going, now I'm going to deep dive the case, in some ways stupidly, not knowing the concept, where the case was at, I immediately went to the most recent documentary, thinking that's where, like, the most recent thing that will have the most up-to-date information. But by doing that, I jumped so far ahead of myself, ahead of the case, of like knowing the sequence of events, I guess, that I got into that the latest documentary, which is from Casey Anthony's perspective, called "Where the Truth Lies." Wrong name. Sorry. Where the Truth Lies, and I immediately was already going, I don't know where I think I land on this. I cannot.
I feel exactly the same way, and I remember like in watching that documentary. It's a 3-parter.
Yeah.
And each episode's like an hour and a half, so it's a decent amount of content.
Yes.
I just was like, what the fuck is actually going on here?
My immediate reaction to the demeanour of Casey Anthony as a person is that she is such an actress. I do not believe a word that comes out of her mouth. Her alone, sorry, don't believe anything she says. There's just a gut instinct of like, there is something wrong. She's performing. However, then there's other people around her that then put forward things that I go, oh crap! Like if you're an intelligent person, I have to pay a little bit more attention to this, and I do put more, value in what you're saying.
Yep.
However, my immediate reaction to this Casey Anthony person on the screen speaking and me going, "There's something wrong with you," I immediately then, without knowing history and all of it, I went, "There is something traumatic has happened to you you don't end up being a person at that age." Of and all of this or whatever going on, you don't end up being a person who lies the way you have lied from very young without there being something wrong with your
upbringing or
childhood,
something's happened to you. Yeah.
So that even then, not knowing what then comes out of all this, going, well, then there has to be maybe some truth in that, but I don't know. I don't know where to end up.
I don't know. Let's talk it through. Let's get going with it. So for anybody who doesn't really know this case, we've basically got Casey Anthony who had a baby. I'm just going to give totally high level here.
Yeah.
She had a baby named Kayleigh.
At 19.
At the age of 19, Kayleigh went missing and was then, her skeletal remains were then found.
Yeah.
And Casey went to trial for the murder of her baby, of her child, of her 2-year-old. Oh, she was just 3, wasn't she?
She turned 3 whilst she was missing.
She was missing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And was acquitted. So that's a very high level. But my God, there's so much in this. Let's get it going. So Casey was born to Dad George Anthony, who was born in 1951, and Cindy Anthony, who was born in 1958. They were married in 1981 in Niles, Ohio, after a meeting at a hospital where Cindy had worked. George was a police officer at the time.
Cindy was a nurse.
A nurse, yep. And they both were throughout a lot of the goings on in what we're going to be talking about. So keep that in mind, because I think that definitely has, it's something to keep
Something to keep in mind, particularly George Anthony, who was a police officer, but I do believe when they moved down to Florida, he was then working in security. He wasn't a police officer anymore.
I believe for a short time, and then I think he joined the Florida Police Force and he became a detective then.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So on the 19th of March in 1986, Casey Marie Anthony was born in Warren, Ohio. The family, she also had a brother named Lee, and the four of them made up, this fairly typical American family.
Lee is older than her?
Just,
isn't he?
Yeah, I think they're quite close in age, but he is older.
Yeah.
So they've moved. They live in a fairly typical, suburban house.
Quite, they did reasonably okay for themselves.
Absolutely.
They were in a very nice neighbourhood.
Yeah. And really nice homes.
Yeah.
They had a swimming pool in their backyard, like an above ground swimming pool. But, it was kind of very, I don't know, everyone I feel like in the 80s and early 90s had, the above ground pools.
Yeah,
it's like, you don't really see them anymore.
No,
or people have kind of decked around them or something. But I still remember we had a family friend who had an above ground pool. We bloody loved that thing. Climbing up the ladder and jumping in off the side.
Yeah.
Best.
Yep.
Best thing ever.
And the water going over the edge,
Yeah.
And bombed in.
Yeah, that's it.
Or doing the whirlpool.
Oh, yes, I loved a whirlpool. God, that is so much fun. I forgot about doing whirlpools.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the best. So Casey went to Colonial High School, and in 2004, she actually failed to graduate. She never actually graduated high school.
This is where this starts.
It all starts.
Really. She was lying to her parents about going to school.
Yep.
To the point where, even when the school then called it out and called her parents and said, look, we're coming up to graduation, but Casey's not going to graduate. She hasn't been in attendance. Casey had an explanation for her family for that, saying, oh, no, it's the school's fault. It's not mine. They messed up my scheduling. And so I have been attending what I could, but because they put my classes on at the same time, I couldn't get to the other class. So it's their fault, not mine. So then Mum enables this and says, that's okay. We just won't tell anyone. Literally. No, we just won't tell anyone. We'll even still continue to hold a graduation party for you, Casey, and accept all the gifts from family, because graduation over there is, I reckon, a whole lot. It's a bigger thing over there than it is here.
Definitely. We have American friends.
Yeah.
And when they graduated, they sent us these it was almost like a wedding invitation for the graduation invite. Whoa. And the expectation is that you give them money to start their college journey and all of that sort of stuff.
It's more like our 21st or something.
Yeah, basically, it's a really, really big deal.
Yeah.
Really big deal to graduate.
Oh God, okay.
High school.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
So it's not something that, we celebrate it here, but not in that way.
No, not in gift giving like that.
No.
It's not, you might get a gift from your parents, something for graduating, but this was family and friends were expected to give gifts.
Big party.
Yeah. So they just, her mum and her just went, no, we carry on as if it happened.
And I also believe George didn't know.
No.
That she hadn't actually officially graduated.
Well, you wouldn't think, what happens? We go to the ceremony? Isn't there
You would think so, where they throw their hats up and their mortarboards up. And
it just doesn't, I don't know, nothing makes sense. But yeah,
But see, this is all plays into it. It's just all things that are going to build to what we know eventually happens.
Absolutely.
From 2004 to 2006, Casey worked for, it was a company called Event Imaging Solutions, and it was owned by Kodak, the photo company. Does anyone actually even know what that is?
I do, because I worked at a company that did that. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that in last week's episode with your developing of the photos.
Yeah.
So she actually worked at Universal Studios at one of the rides, taking photos on the ride.
Yeah, she was literally at a kiosk of the photos.
Yeah.
It was on the Incredible Hulk ride.
That's right. Oh, well done. Good memory. So again, keep that in mind. Her job was working at Universal Studios. Fine, great, no worries. She earned a salary of about $20,000 a year when she worked there. So it was basically a minimum wage type job.
Yeah.
But she was straight out of high school. So 20 grand was, a good step in the right direction to kind of get all that going.
Yeah.
December of 2004, Kayleigh is likely conceived. Do you want to talk to what we think we know about Kayleigh's conception?
Well, there's many stories that Casey has given on this.
Yes.
So she falls pregnant. I believe she was 18 when she actually fell pregnant, but 19 by the time she had Kayleigh. But she was dating a guy by the name of Jesse at the time throughout a lot of her pregnancy.
Yep.
And she basically led him to believe that he was the father. But he did have a paternity test done eventually, and he was ruled out as the father.
That's right.
So not the father. Another story that Casey told was that the father was a guy who ended up having a car accident and died. Mm-hmm. But since then, she has also said, no, that's not the case. In the most recent documentary of hers, this is the first time her parents have ever known about this, is when in 2020, actually it could have been 24 by the time they actually even heard this information. They watched the original documentary. That they heard this being the allegation of how she was conceived. So basically, Casey is now saying that she was raped at 18, and that Kayleigh was a result of that rape.
Yeah. So,
but who knows?
Which is it? We don't actually know.
Don't know. So that's the father of Kayleigh. But then there's also the fact that she fell pregnant. She tried to hide it herself for a very long time, but it got to a point, obviously, where she was showing and clearly pregnant. And her mum, being a nurse, she picked up pretty quickly that her daughter was pregnant. But again, the two of them banded together and hid that information. People literally at family functions were coming up and congratulating Casey that she's pregnant. And they would say, oh no, she's not. She's just bloated.
Oh, come on.
What?
But, okay, a few things that really irk me about that. First thing, yeah, we all get bloated, but we don't look pregnant. Not that pregnant.
No.
You know, she was, so I think this was when she was about 7 months along. So you are like significant, and it doesn't go down. Bloating comes and goes,
This is it, yeah.
This tum wasn't going anywhere. She was clearly pregnant.
Yeah.
What the fuck were they going to do when a baby came along? Like, it's pretty fucking obvious that she was pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't hide the child once she was born. So,
No,
I don't understand.
They didn't. They announced her birth.
But this, to me, it really indicates a bit of narcissism from mum.
Mum is a very interesting character.
Very
Cindy.
interesting person.
Very controlling. The nth degree.
And George also says that in later documentaries and stuff. He admits that she is very controlling.
Oh, you can tell by so her demeanour in interviews and that kind of thing, she is so controlling. You think she's like that in front of the camera. What's she going to be like behind closed doors?
I don't know that. My take on her actually is that she's exactly who she is on camera as she is behind closed doors. I don't actually know that she actually has the ability to change. So I kind of give credit to that in that, if she is being who she is and she's not hiding any of it.
Okay.
I don't know. But if it does get even worse, holy fuck. That's bad. Yep. But she's, very clearly controlling, which, I mean, part of me is she's a nurse, and in those sorts of roles you need someone who's going to be in control of a situation.
Oh, for sure.
She's done something in her life that, used that to the best of her ability. But with her daughter and the perception of their family, she's gone ultimate level of control. And I do wonder whether with Casey falling pregnant at 19 and obviously with the look at how much she loved Kayleigh and genuinely there was love there, I wonder whether she really just took on the fact of she's my child. Casey's isn't the mother here, and kind of took over. She
even said that in a snippet of an interview I saw, and I feel like it was with the Today Show or one of the American Today Show or one of those type of shows.
Yeah, so she admits it.
She basically said, "Well, I knew I'd have to take Kayleigh on almost as my own because my baby was having a baby."
Yeah, and look, a level of me kind of goes, she's 19 though.
She's
That's
19.
19's not at that. A 16-year-old falling pregnant, I think, you're going to have to be, a mother to this child because that's a child having a child. Mm-hmm. But 19, she's got a few more years behind her and you're going to have to really actually support her being the mother of this child, not be the mother of she needed to support
Casey in being a mum to Kayleigh, not being a mum to Kayleigh.
Yeah. I think there's a big... Yeah,
but that's
19,
not the role.
She had the ability to do that.
Yeah, and that's not the role I think Cindy took. She certainly took it more so, took a lot of responsibility in some ways, but then in other ways, she did leave Casey to her own devices sometimes. So, and, you know, let her work out childcare arrangements and work out different things. I mean, we know there's conjecture around all that too, but it's not as though she took full 100% responsibility for Kayleigh.
But I think there's a little bit of, like, as much as you say she let Casey do that, I actually think Casey got to a point of like, I've worked out how to manipulate my mum a bit.
Well, she does say that in that documentary, doesn't she?
I think she was actually more so like, that's that stuff when those arrangements were made without Cindy being involved, that would have pissed her off.
Yeah.
I really think that was Casey like trying to take control back.
Trying to rebel a little.
And whereas Cindy wasn't really happy with that and so she was constantly trying to battle with Casey in terms of the control over Kayleigh.
Yeah.
Which would have been very difficult. I can empathise with Casey for that.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Probably that's the only time I might say that.
Yeah. Throughout this time as well, so in 2006, a different company at Universal Studios took over all of the photography.
Yeah.
And so Casey lost her job. She, I think it was end of 2006, she lost her job.
Yep.
And
yes,
and she basically had nowhere to go, but she still let her family and friends and anyone who asked let them believe that she worked at Universal Studios. So much so that she told people that she was actually working in the events team there. She wasn't.
No.
Never did.
Never did.
She worked for an events company and only by name that was owned by Kodak, who did the photos.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I feel like with Casey, for every lie she told, there was an element of truth to it.
Yes.
And that's what makes it so hard to unpick and to actually figure out, what is
what is the actual truth here?
What is true?
There is always, and that's the thing, you've got to, with everything that happens, you've got to hunt for that little minute detail that could be the truth in it and then eliminate the rest.
That's it.
But yeah. And so the job, so she was telling everyone she was still working there. So she had no money. She was convincing everyone else she still had this job. For whatever reason, she continued this lie. Why she couldn't fess to anybody and say, oh my God, it wasn't like she did the wrong thing here and quit the job or anything like that. She was let go because the company wasn't running it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's not her fault. Why not just say, crap, like I'm in a bind here. I've got to find another job.
Yeah.
No, she lied to everyone and said she was still working there. She would disappear go out that every day and as if she was going to this job and return home as if she'd been working all day, like to the degree of like, Mum, you need to take Kayleigh because I'm exhausted. I've been working all day.
She'd actually just been looking after a kid all day. So fair that she was exhausted after that too. Oh God!
But she had no money.
Yeah,
she stole from her family and from her friends.
Yeah,
which is just awful. One particular, which was a family friend, I don't know how close they were specifically, Amy, that she stole her checkbook and wrote herself checks so that she had money to do things. I feel like that was
to the tune of like $4,000 or $5,000 over a period of time. But she stole a similar amount of money from her mum and dad.
Yeah.
And she was living with her mum and dad at the time. So they were fully supporting her. She wasn't paying board. There was nothing like that going on. So Kayleigh and Casey were living under George and Cindy's roof.
Yeah.
And they were fully supporting her, but they thought she was going to work and earning money, and she wasn't. No. She was just stealing it.
Then April 2008, she meets a guy and she starts dating a guy by the name of, Lazaro.
Tony Lazaro.
Yeah. So, the relationship seemed pretty, it was fairly new. It was going well. I think they'd been
together, 2 months when Kayleigh really went missing.
Yeah, so it was a fairly new relationship, and I love this little he lived in a house share situation with some housemates, and one of the guys described meeting Kayleigh for the first time, and I just think this is adorable.
I thought so
he said that she'd been hanging around for a while, but then on this particular day she brought Kayleigh with her for the first time, and through the door walks this 2.5-year-old with sunnies on and goes, "Hey dudes."
You can imagine it, like the
so
attitude,
cute.
how gorgeous.
Yeah, and he said described her as just being, a really gorgeous kid, not out there. Like she hid behind her mum as well, and was like very attached to her mum, but at the same time had some real spunk about her. And what an absolute adorable kid.
Yeah, they describe Casey's interactions with Kayleigh as well as overwhelmingly positive.
Yep.
They said, she was doing flashcards with her and really trying to build up her her vocabulary and really working with her, as most mums and dads do. She was really trying to give Kayleigh the best start in life. And they said they only ever observed positive interactions with Kayleigh and Casey. And it seemed to them like Casey just doted on her daughter and lived for her daughter, really.
That was the perception.
That was the perception at the time. It absolutely was.
Yeah.
That was what they thought was.
And everyone does say that. And I think we need to, you take that on that, okay, everyone was saying she was a great mum.
Yep.
Part of me, again, does the whole where's the lie and where's the truth even with even that. I wonder whether that was for perception only or I don't know. And we don't know.
We don't know her motivation.
And you want to think positive things when you can get them, but she does herself no favours because she lies constantly.
Yeah. So Tony Lazzaro was a club promoter. That was his job. And so Casey does say that, around this time of meeting him, which was in 2008, she did start to do some work for him as well. So she would go to club nights and whatever and help him sort of promote these clubs and different bands and whatever was going on. And so she did start to sort of earn a very small income at this time, but it was nowhere near enough to really support her or Kayleigh.
No.
So just keeping that in mind. So on the 15th of June in 2008, which was Father's Day in the United States, Kayleigh visits her great-grandfather in a nursing home with Cindy, and Cindy takes what we now know is the last known photo of Kayleigh on that day with her great-grandfather, so with Cindy's dad. Kayleigh and Cindy return home and go for a swim in the backyard pool. We know that it was a nice day. It's sort of coming up for summer.
Summerish, yep.
And they had a really lovely day by all accounts. Casey spent that day on Father's Day with her boyfriend Tony Lazzaro at his house. Okay, so now we are on the day.
July 16th, 2008. Is that the day?
Well, I was going to say June 16th.
Oh, you want to go back?
First.
Go.
Or do you want to go to July 1st?
Well, I guess there's just so much like what happened on that June 16th, isn't it? Like,
there's a lot. Okay, well, so what we know.
Okay.
Let's go to July. Let's go to July 16th first then.
All right, cool.
What we know is there were 3 911 calls placed by Cindy Anthony, basically reporting her almost 3-year-old, or she would have been 3 by then.
Yep.
3-year-old granddaughter missing.
Well, the original call is actually Cindy. So let's go back a little bit. Yeah. So in June, Kayleigh and Casey leave the Anthony home and say they're going to Jacksonville with Tony Lazzaro.
Yep.
So her family are under the impression that, okay, she wants to go and do this. They can't stop her, obviously, that she's away. But Cindy is calling her every day, trying to get in touch with her granddaughter, all those sorts of things. But on July 16th, when Cindy finally, she actually finds out that Cindy, I'm sorry, I'm getting all these C names.
I know, there's so many C names.
Casey and Kayleigh never went to Jacksonville. They've been in Florida the entire time. Like, they've only been down the road.
Blocks away. It's really not
far away. So she goes to Tony Lazzaro's house, pretty much drags Casey Casey home. And so this whole time she's been gone, she's had the car, everything, like
the family car.
The family car. Like, it's not Casey's car, it's the family car. So she's had the car, all these things. Previous to that, she'd stolen so much stuff from their family. So she drags her home and calls the police to basically, I think, to scare the shit out of her, really.
Well, you can
is where
tell
her head's out.
In that first 911 call, Cindy is trying to scare her, I think.
Yeah.
And
like,
I really feel
I'm gonna follow through on this.
And I feel like she didn't think she was going to do it.
No.
Because she basically said, she's like, well, my granddaughter's been missing. I haven't heard from her in over a month. or in a month or something, and I've been trying to call my daughter, and I've spoken to my daughter throughout that time, but she's never let me talk to my granddaughter, and I told her I was going to do this. I told her I was going to call.
The first stuff is even more, it's actually less around the fact that Kayleigh's missing.
It's the car.
It's the car. It's like, I need someone to come and arrest this person in my house for grand theft auto, for stealing the car. She's more concerned around that.
It's really weird in that first 911 phone call. She doesn't say, my daughter stole my car.
No, she's like, I have a person here who needs
to be arrested.
I
No,
guess,
my daughter stole my fucking car. Come and get her.
Yeah, I think that's where like I get a little bit of a side of like, I don't really want to do this, but I need Kaylee to hear me making this call.
Yes.
To
she
like
was trying
scare
to
her.
distance herself. I do understand that.
I get it on that level of like, oh shit, like not used to being someone who calls the police to have someone arrested. How do you speak? What do you say to get this happening? How do I trigger this but without being too over the top, because I actually don't want any consequences of it. I just want her to have the scare that this might be what we do. Like, and I think my take on that call is that Cindy believes that Kayleigh's fine and is with a nanny or whatever Casey has told her.
Yeah.
At that point, and it's not until as those phone calls progress and that by that third one where it's like she's just finally admitted that no, she's not. She doesn't know where she is.
She hasn't seen her for 31 days.
31 days she hasn't. It wasn't this morning that she handed over to a nanny. She's not here. She doesn't know where she is, and for 31 days she doesn't know where she is. That you hear the panic well and truly in Cindy's voice.
Oh, she's almost
beside
hysterical.
herself.
Yeah.
And again, not speaking clearly enough for the not answering the questions that need to be asked. She was off on her own tangent because in her brain, I think,
I think she
was
just had a breakdown basically.
Yeah. Whereas
the 911 operator in that third phone call asked to speak to Casey.
Yes.
And Casey gets on the phone. It is compelling.
Completely different like
demeanor
from where Cindy's at, which just kills me.
She's totally detached.
Completely.
The operator says, tell me what's going on. And Casey said, I haven't seen my daughter for 31 days. And the operator's like, well, do you know where she is? And she said, well, yes, I know she's with the babysitter.
Fernando
Gonzalez.
She pulls out this name.
Oh,
Yeah.
She knew this name.
Yeah.
They then say, well, where is she? And she says, well, I don't know.
I've been looking for her for 31 days.
And the operator said, well, what have you been doing? And she says, I've been doing my things. I've been investigating it in my own way. She doesn't actually answer the question.
She actually does not answer anything. Question. No, she tells her what she wants her to know.
Frustrating. Anyway, so the 911 operator's like, yep, well, we've actually already got uniform officers coming to your house who think they're there to investigate a grand theft auto.
Car that's gone, been stolen,
then get there while she's on this phone call, and they're like, they've now faced with a missing child, a missing toddler case. Well, that's just blown out of water. But obviously they then get detectives to come in and it all kind of starts going on from there.
Mm-hmm.
So what Casey says happened. So do you want to go back now to the 16th of June?
Yeah, now what her explanation of June 16th is.
And the family. Well,
at this point,
we'll go through.
Go with what she tells the police at this point of what has gone on, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What she says is that so George Anthony was home on the morning of the 16th. He had an afternoon shift. I think he had to be at work by about 3 p.m. that day.
Yeah.
He says that Casey left the house with Kayleigh at about 12:50 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Casey's phone records show that she remained in the area actually for many, many hours up until after 4 p.m. On that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
We then also know that Casey's seen at a Blockbuster video store with Tony Lazzaro at about nearly 8 p.m. that night. Kayleigh is not with her. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through what Casey says happened in that day?
So Casey says that she left the Anthony home and went and dropped Kayleigh off because she was going to work at Universal Studios, where she hasn't worked in 2 years, but that's fine. We'll just go with it. So that she was going to work at Universal Studios, and when she worked there, she would always drop her child off at a nanny called Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez.
Fernando Gonzalez, yep.
Now, how did she know this nanny? Well, that would be my mate Jeff, who I work with at Universal Studios. He has a child named Zach. And he was using Zenaida as his nanny, and so said, well, why don't we pal up and use the same nanny? And we've been using the same nanny forever, and we both drop our child off at Zenaida's, or sometimes we go to Jeff's house and we drop them off there. But this
Jeff's
morning,
house is better set up.
It's better set up,
It's got a room that each of them can sleep in during the day. So much
just
detail.
the detail. So then, so she's dropped her child off Kayleigh off with Zenaida at this apartment building where she lives, and then gone to work at Universal Studios. And then when she's returned, or during the day, she called Zenaida that morning and spoke to her on the phone, apparently. But then later in the day, while she was at work, she called Zenaida again and got this phone number is out of service.
Yes.
And since that point on, has never been able to contact her again.
Yes. And
so
all
she's covering all of her bases.
Yes. And all she really knows about Zenaida is that she's got family in Jacksonville.
And New York.
Well, her brother lives in New York, and, she grew up in New York, but the rest of her family live in Jacksonville. Her two sisters.
She went to university.
She studied there.
The amount of information she pulls out about this woman who, spoiler alert, doesn't exist is unbelievable. The lying is incredible.
Fucking believable. But I love it how in court they refer to her as Zanny the Nanny.
Oh, Zanny the Nanny. Oh, God.
Who doesn't actually
exist.
So when the police... So this was what Casey's account was from the 16th of June. 16th of July, they're now obviously investigating Kayleigh as a missing person. So they say to Casey, they're looking into her story. So one of the first things they do is do a search on this Zenaida person. I think they found maybe 14 people with that name in all of the United States.
Yeah.
But one of them did happen to live within 20 miles of the Anthony house.
Yes.
So they go to this person, very quickly eliminate that it's her. It's 100% not her. Also, they bring that woman, this Zenaida Gonzalez, they bring her in for a lineup, and Casey can't pick her out. So it's clearly not the person you're leaving your bloody child 2-year-old with, is it?
To this day, Casey Anthony still says this woman exists, and that the police just have not looked hard enough for her.
Haven't found her.
They're not looking for her 3 names. Sometimes she goes by Zenaida Gonzalez. Sometimes she goes by Fernando. Sometimes she goes by this name.
And she sometimes goes by Zanny.
Yeah. It's just she's
so what combinations have they actually looked
so they're not actually looking properly for her.
Yeah.
She doesn't exist. So at this point, whilst they're investigating this story of hers in the background, they let Casey sort of go and think that they believe her. And in what they say to her is right, we need to go and talk to people at Universal Studios. So this Jeff,
where's Jeff?
And let's talk to him.
Jeff.
Who else do you work with? Oh, Juliette Lewis.
Oh, Juliette Lewis. This is my favourite one.
And
they're so they go to Universal Studios and the security guard who is meant to let them into the parking lot, he's like, I don't have a Casey Anthony here.
Because she's actually aiming also for the corporate building. Not even she never worked in corporate as an event manager or whatever.
And she wasn't ever an employee of Universal. She was an employee of Kodak.
Yes.
So she doesn't come up on their system.
No.
Juliette Lewis doesn't come up on their system.
Shock.
Fantastic actress, by the way.
Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. But she hasn't been an event manager either at Universal Studios.
Nor has anyone by that name, whether it's the Juliette Lewis or not.
No.
And this Jeff Hopkins. That's right. She didn't... she wasn't quite sure which department he worked in, though. Right. So anyway, they gain access because obviously they
kind of push their way and they make sure they
we need
let
to
them
get
through.
in
We need
here.
to go in anyway. We're cops.
This is my favourite thing.
I love this.
Casey walks into the office building. She's waving at people and people are waving back at her because if someone waves at you, you do wave back. Have you ever had that awkward situation where you're out in public and someone waves and you wave back and you're like, oh, fuck, they were waving to the person behind me or beside me or that wasn't me that they were waving
more than I'd like to admit. I tend to do that.
I think it's just human nature. If someone waves to you, you kind of wave back.
Well, I'd always do the whole, I must know you.
Hi. Yeah. I don't want to be rude.
I won't be rude. So all these people are just waving back at her and we know you, I think.
And the cops who were with her were they already knew she never worked there.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of waiting see how this
They wanted to really make her uncomfortable and really put her in the fire of you're going to have to fess up to us that you're telling lies now. Put her in it. Yeah. But they literally they walked around for 25 minutes around those buildings, looking for her office.
Yeah.
What?
Huh?
So eventually, and the cops said, so stone-faced, no panic about her whatsoever. all of a sudden after 25 minutes turns around and goes, oh, look, actually I don't work here. I haven't worked here in 2 years. And they go, we know.
Yeah, we know that.
They then arrested her, took her
For lying to the police.
For lying to police.
Yep.
They took her into a room at Universal and interviewed her there. And you can actually, there is video recording of this exact, it's an interrogation at this point. They're furious.
Well, they're furious. So what they've uncovered is that she's lying.
Well, what they already knew was that Jeff Hopkins,
suspect number one,
absolutely,
of course.
Well, Jeff Hopkins, who she's talking about, that is connected to this, hasn't. Not only does he not work at Universal Studios anymore, he hasn't worked there in 6 years,
and he doesn't have a kid.
Doesn't have any children. Like the stuff that she's just pulled out, she's unbelievable with this lying. She's she's good at it. I don't want to give her credit, but
but she is.
She is
so good at
amazing at it. So they basically do arrest her at that time, not only for the false information that she's given to police, but also for child neglect, because at this point, obviously, she has not done anything about her child who's been missing for 31 days.
Yeah, she hasn't reported her missing. There's no proof that she's done anything in order to actually find her.
And when she does finally talk to the police about it, she's told them blatant lies. Because the other thing is, they've denied her apartment that she gave the address for. They went there. No one has lived at that address for more than 2 months. Not even like back to June when she supposedly dropped off this child. A month even more prior to that, no one had lived there.
And her friend Amy had lived at one point in that same apartment
and so there's
complex.
that element of truth that goes in there. There's
that's how she knew to give an address, because her friend had lived there at some point.
She gave one that she knew a rough estimate of.
Yes.
And so gave another apartment in the same block or whatever. But that particular one, she knew. No one had lived there for 2 months.
Yeah. And certainly nobody had ever in the history of all records for that building, by the name of Zenaida, by the name of Gonzalez, by the name of Fernando, none of those names been attributed to the rental for any of those buildings at all.
No. They even checked. Sorry, they were also at the apartment building. They did check CCTV, and there was no CCTV footage of Casey arriving with Kayleigh to drop her off in any of those apartments.
And they have CCTV of all of the car parks, and there's kind of like stairwells going up to, like external stairwells going up to the front doors of these apartment buildings. And the CCTV, you can see every corridor, every stairwell. There is no sign. And they looked not only on that day, on the day that she said she dropped her there, the 16th of June, they looked a month before.
Yeah, as if this was the nanny she used consistently, and she'd never been there.
And a month after, to see that this Zenaida may be taking Kayleigh somewhere or, whatever. Nothing. No. And there was no interruption in the CCTV footage. It's not like they missed a day or someone's over-recorded something. Nothing like that. All of the records were legit, fair and intact.
Yeah.
So it's oh God, it's just absolutely freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, but they do believe at this point. So when they're interviewing her, the cops, you can sense by this interview that they have with her at Universal there at that moment, that their understanding is that this is a mother who's not panicked by her missing child. So they're feeling like, okay, Kayleigh's alive. We just need to get the freaking information out of her. So that's where they're frustrated. They're actually thinking that they're looking for a dead child. They really do honestly think that a woman who is not panicked about this, she knows something and isn't telling us enough. We need to just find this kid.
Yeah. So what the police then decided to do was, okay, let's look at Casey's life for that 31 days that her child's been missing.
Yeah.
So they go through Casey's planner. I mean, we're going back into the days of MySpace now. So there's, photos and things and posts that she's made on MySpace. There's photos on people's, friends and whatever's digital cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
There's photos from the club promotion nights.
There's Facebook posts,
Yep. She basically, her social life became busier than prior to Kayleigh gone missing, because when you're the mum of a 2-year-old, you don't really have a huge amount of time for a social life.
No.
You're with your child. If you're not at work, you're with your kid basically.
Yeah.
But so in that month, preceding the discovery that Kayleigh was missing, so before July, we can see that Casey's social life certainly picked up.
She's certainly not a troubled mum trying to find her kid.
Oh, no. There's CCTV. The police did an amazing job in investigating this. Yeah. They went through CCTV footage of shops that they knew Casey had frequented from bank statements and stuff. They knew where she'd been shopping. So there were time points of her, say, at Target. They go and get the CCTV from Target. You can see Casey. She's there. She's buying beer. She's buying women's clothes. She's buying food items like chips and dips and salsas.
Not kid stuff.
Not kid stuff.
Yeah.
And also, Kayleigh is never with her. No. I saw, I reckon, at least 10 CCTV individual videos where she's doing these types of things out and about, and Kayleigh is never with her in those 30 days.
And Tony Lazzaro's housemates, they also have stated like that Casey brought Kayleigh with her at least 2 to 3 times a week prior to this June 16th.
Yep.
So they would see her pretty regularly.
Yep.
Literally from that point onwards for those 31 days, they never saw Kayleigh. Kayleigh did not come with her. She was coming over and more often coming over and spending a lot longer there, and no Kayleigh.
She spent 3 weeks there.
Yeah.
3 solid weeks there without them seeing Kayleigh at all.
Yeah.
And it's not like Casey provided an explanation as to where Kayleigh was. It just wasn't spoken about.
It just wasn't spoken about. And like I find that a little bit interesting that no one said, hey, where's Kayleigh? Like,
yeah. But then I guess those 2 blokes, they would have been so much younger and they were a bit like, I guess they were housemates. They weren't friends.
Weed smoking, having whatever,
They
chill.
were just doing their own thing. And you know what? It wasn't on them to question it. It really wasn't.
No, it wasn't at all. No, they were just the housemates.
Yeah.
We should say the cops obviously then looked very, very closely at Tony Lazzaro. Because at this point where they've arrested her at Universal, they then obviously take her back and she's put into prison not prison yet, but jail, I guess at that point.
A holding
sort of situation. And she makes phone calls from the jail. Now in Florida, their laws are whack in some ways, but it's amazing for us because we get a lot. So it is all public. All these things you can actually go and find all these recordings online. Just go and search. You'll find a whole lot. But so you can listen to these recordings of these phone calls she makes from the jail. One of them in particular is her first phone call out of jail when she's after this arrest at Universal. And it is mind-boggling. But because the only thing she wants out of this phone call of calling her home at the Anthony home, so she speaks to her brother Lee, she speaks to her mother, and she speaks to Christine, I think it is her friend, who's her best friend. Her best friend. Yep. And all she wants from all 3 of these people who are like, shit, Casey, where's Kayleigh?
Where's Kayleigh? What's going on?
Casey's only mindset is get me Tony's number. I want to speak to my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. So the cops take that information and go, hey, well, we need to look at the boyfriend. Yeah. So they looked very much into him and ruled him out very quickly, that he didn't have anything to do with it and has literally, of all the people involved in this, you really can't find anything about Tony Lazzaro. He has separated himself from this entirely, which all credit, obviously, he had nothing to do with this.
No.
But she was gung-ho on that phone call of, it's all I want is Tony's number, give me Tony's number. My heart broke in that the best friend particularly, who clearly had a real attachment to Kayleigh, as I can imagine being young and having one of your friends have a kid, your auntie, pretty much, like that's how she would have been. And she was desperate. She goes, if there's something happened to Kayleigh, I'd be heartbroken, and she breaks down and cries. And Casey's reaction is,
yeah, she's
seriously?
Exasperated. And this friend, Christine, she says to Casey on the phone, she said, why are you so calm? Because she's
can't understand
beside herself.
Yep. She is reacting how a parent should.
Yes.
Whereas Casey she literally is frustrated that, why are you being so dramatic about this? It's the level of I just can't.
And Cindy's beside herself in this phone call.
And Lee too, her brother.
They're like, what is going on? Tell us. We need to know.
And the way her brother speaks to her in that is really telling, I think, too. He's so frustrated, and it's not frustration of just this point in his life. To me, that phone call says, I've had to deal with you being this lying, annoying person my whole life. Freaking stop this, ghetto. I need you to stop now and just tell us where she is.
Now's the time to stop. Cut the shit.
Cut the shit. Yeah. You can really sense the frustration in him.
Yeah.
He seems to be quite the sane person, to be honest, in all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. It's just horrific. It's absolutely horrible.
Oh no.
She also, during that 31 days, just quickly, Casey also got a tattoo on her back shoulder saying Bella Vita, Vita. Beautiful life. excuse me, your
Your
fucking
daughter's
2-year-old's
missing.
missing. It's not a beautiful life.
Her explanation for that in the most recent
I
one,
know.
it just killed me. I can't. That's one thing I can't even can't consolidate in my brain. In no way, whether her story in that is true or not, that tattoo does not make sense for me.
No.
She's now gotten rid of it.
Yeah, well, she's had it covered up.
Yeah,
she's
covered
now
it
got
up.
like
A mandala and she said
peonies
something
or
about, you know, it's and it's a tribute to Kayleigh.
Yeah, oh, fuck off.
Get her name tattooed then. Like,
Yeah.
don't. That's
Oh, you can't cover up
Bella Vita.
Kayleigh with Bella Vita or Bella Vita with Kayleigh.
No,
I guess
just
it's disgusting.
that one's my clincher for me, to be honest. That tattoo. I don't know where your brain is at to get that when your daughter's missing.
Yeah. To even consider getting a memorial tattoo is fucking weird.
Yeah.
When you don't. Oh, anyway. Yeah.
But I guess what I was going to say before was that in all these video recordings that you see of her, she has absolutely no shame.
Oh, none.
Whatsoever. Everyone's calling her out for these lies. She never misses a beat. She never reacts of like, she stays at that same level the entire time, and her story will just then manipulate and change to fit another narrative. She
can make up a lie on the spot. It's incredible.
She never ever goes, oh, yeah, like, you know, you've caught me, and like, yeah, okay, I've lied. She never ever 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 does that.
So we know she's obviously gone through a trial, and so obviously there was extensive personality tests administered on her, and, you know, all of those tests to determine whether or not she's a psychopath, sociopath, whatever. None of them came back that she's any of those things, but she is absolutely a compulsive liar, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I can't reconcile that for then what she says happened, because, which we will get to in a second, but I can't actually get that right in my brain.
No.
Why do you need to lie if you have the story already?
Yeah.
What are you trying to hide in amongst all these lies? Like, that's what gives. I just think she's got zero credibility. To the point where you were saying, even in that documentary that's supposed to be coming from her perspective, you watch it and you're like, well, I can't believe a single word that comes out of your mouth.
No, there's nothing about her as a person that makes me want to believe her.
Yeah.
And that's coming from me watching that as a very first. I didn't know all of it watching it, you know?
Yeah.
That's not from like seeing months and years of her presenting this.
Yep.
That was my first full take of her as a person that I went, I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth. What? She just performs. Every word out of her mouth is not genuine.
Yeah.
There's something really quite wrong with her. That sounds awful, but I think there is honestly something really quite wrong with her.
Yeah. Just really quickly as well, I think we didn't mention, you know how Cindy made the 3911 calls?
Yes.
In the second call, she says something that really does pertain to this case.
Yes. I was literally going there too.
Oh, were you?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I saw it in my notes. Yeah.
She basically said that they were able to repossess the car because, well, Casey's story is that she ran out of fuel and she got two guys who helped her push the car off the side of the road, and then her dad went to pick up the car. When he got in the car, she had been transporting 3 bags of rubbish and a pizza box, and then she'd gotten rid of 2 bags of rubbish but didn't get rid of the 3rd bag, so there was like a smell of rubbish in the car, and there'd been meat in there, so like it did smell pretty bad, and the pizza box was obviously smelling pretty bad. But okay, that's Casey's side of the story. In the 911 call, her mum says it smells like there's been a dead body in that car.
And she says it distressed in
she's
a tone.
Beside herself.
And she's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
She knows
the smell of decomposition.
Yeah, that's...
As does George. George was a detective.
Yeah.
I'm sure he came across many a dead body in his time.
Yeah. That's a point of like, it's a big conjecture point too in the case of like whether or not that smell is, you know, recognisable like that.
Yeah.
And one explanation for the rubbish in the car is that that smell was already there and she was trying to mask it.
Or give a reason for
and
it.
give a reason for it, probably more than even mask it.
Yeah.
But putting that apparently her car was parked near a dumpster for a long period of time. So the thought is that maybe she just grabbed a bag out of there and put it in her boot, because who drives around with that? Why don't you just go, that stinks, get it out of my car?
Or you put your rubbish in your household rubbish bin.
Well, this is it. So
where are you taking it to? Why is it in your car?
Why is it in the car anyway? So there is thought that maybe she'd grabbed that out to put that into...
to give a reason for the smell.
Yeah.
There was also a stain in the boot of the car.
Yes.
That, it was a brown stain, a very dark, deep brown stain.
Yep.
She said that was just like juice from the rubbish bags.
Gross. But,
Yuck.
Yeah. And the other thing the police did take possession of the car quite quickly at that point to investigate the car because of this smell that was apparently, even when the officers arrived, they smelt that smell too.
Yeah, and so, I believe that if you have smelt the smell of decomposition, there is nothing like it.
Well, that's my understanding as well. It was actually another documentary I watched with this woman. I really love her, and the guy that she does. What do they do? What's the name of their podcast? That's going to really annoy me. But they did a documentary together. It's going to really frustrate me who they are now. You know who they are. She's English. She's from Scotland Yard, and he's an ex-FBI profiler.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yep.
So they did a really strong breakdown of all the evidence in this and where it all landed, and so the people they spoke to, the experts on this, of this smell, and people saying that it's really distinctive, and when you've smelt it, you've never, They talked about the fact of how can you differentiate between that being a human decomposition, animal decomposing, or rubbish. Mm-hmm. And there was varying opinion on that.
So I think what they were saying in that is that there are certain chemicals that get released by different things that would make up that smell, right? And they're in varying levels depending on what it is that's decomposing. So whether it's a human body, animal tissue, which is very, very similar in composition of the types of smell. So there are things like these chemical compounds, they're called like putrine and cadaverine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's cadaverine, I believe, is in like minute amounts in coffee, and it gives coffee a nice smell, that type of thing.
Right.
But in these massive amounts in a decomposing body, obviously it's disgusting and we can't stand the smell.
Yeah.
That's a very different smell to me than a smell of like garbage decomposing.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can kind of give a personal sort of reference to is when a few years ago we were at Phillip Island and we came across the body of a beached whale.
Yeah.
And have I spoken about this before on the podcast?
Yeah.
I just remember the smell was so bad of this decomposing mammal that I don't think if I smelt that again, I would know that smell.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything I'd ever smelt before. It was so disgusting. And I work in pathology. I smell really bad things all the time, but it's not like that. That was decomposing tissue.
Yep.
It's not a pooey or wee, it's not a bodily smell. It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a human body probably smells a little bit different to that too.
Well, they did a really interesting experiment on this documentary because obviously a Godiva dog, he alerted to the boot of this car of having that sense, that scent of decomposing body. And they did this really interesting experiment with a Godiva dog where they gave they put in the boots of cars in this lot, and one of them was decomposing human parts, whatever they used, I don't know. And then another one there was decomposing animal parts, and another boot of a car randomly was rubbish and meat, smells, whatever, like kind of thing. So they put them in different cars in this lot and then let the dog go to do its thing, and it only alerted to the human.
Yeah, but see, the argument to that in court was that the cadaver dog is only trained for that specific scent profile.
Yeah.
So what that kind of confirmed, though, is if you've smelt that smell, then you know what that smell is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But the defense tried to basically say, well, that kind of means nothing because we've got a similar chemical composition in this one or this one. It meant they tried to argue around all of this to no avail.
Look,
really.
the one thing I will say is, which I think this argument can be put to anything really, is that the dog will alert to any human, like decomposition. You can't prove it was Kayleigh. So the only thing is that to me, the argument with it is at some stage, a dead body, and to the point of like what the guy explained was that it can literally be a dead body that's been laid there and sat there for an hour or two, or a week or a month, or it can be as little as an hour or so, and that smell will be there and retain there for a very long time. So, so basically at some point in the lifespan of that car, a dead body had been placed there. Yeah. You can't say it was definitely within the last few months. You can't say it was definitely Kayleigh. Like, can a previous owner have potentially had a dead body in the boot of that car? I don't know how.
Where there's smoke, though.
Well, 100%. I think that's to me, but that's not how other people see it. I guess they'll pick apart. Yeah. Yeah.
So are we at the point now where Casey's in prison?
So yeah, she's in prison, I guess, and I guess the next point is where they find her body.
Yeah,
which is an interesting story as well.
Yep.
Or should
actually,
before we do,
really quickly, while she's in prison.
Yeah.
So while she's in prison, she basically, I guess, she feels like she needs to figure out what her story's going to be,
because once they sort of look at her car and a few other things, they immediately do charge her with first degree murder. Mm-hmm. That's the where they go with this. So while she is sitting in jail waiting for a trial, there's still no body, all those sorts of things. And this is her sitting in jail waiting for trial, basically on first degree murder with no body.
Yep. And I guess at the point when they found Kayleigh's remains, the prosecutors then decided that it would be a first degree murder death penalty charge. Mm-hmm. So
October she was charged with first degree murder. Yep. They actually gave her that before they even found the body.
Yes.
So they did jump to that very quickly.
Yes.
So and then obviously the body was found on December 11th.
Yes, and that's when they decided to add the death penalty to it because of what they found and how they found it.
Yeah.
So Casey recalls this time in prison. It's very interesting, the types of things that she says. But she says because she's finally able to have space from her mum and dad, and her mum's very controlling, she actually had nightmares and seizures recalling memories of abuse when she was in prison. Seizures? Sorry? What? You had nightmares and seizures, and a seizure made you recall something? Oh. Like, what the actual fuck? So she starts now at this point. She tells one of the investigators on her case that she was being abused by her father from the age of 8.
So she was in quite a secluded area in the prison. She was kept separate.
Solitary. Well, she was in a solitary cell, and she never had any interaction with any other cellmates aside from I think she had someone like she was directly opposite her,
so they would communicate and they would like write letters to each other, right? Interestingly, that girl had been abused. Now that I just find that
disclosed that to Casey.
And the next thing she's then disclosing back to her, going, oh, "Me too.
I just had a seizure and I just remembered. Me too."
So that's where that element of truth I think is. I find that might be the element of truth in this.
Well, the prison mate, she's interviewed in that latest documentary and she actually says, she's like, there's so many elements of what I have told Casey have then become her truth.
But she says it as if, we had the same story. But she doesn't see it how you and I see it. No.
But I look at that and I'm like, because she's fucking just copied everything that you said and taken it as hers.
Yes.
Oh my God. So what Casey claims happened is that from the age of 8, she was sexually abused by her father.
Mm-hmm.
Her lawyer in court, he was actually a really fantastic
If I am
lawyer.
ever
On trial for
charged
murder,
with murder,
I'll call him.
Get him,
I'll
please.
call him.
Yep. I can't stand him, but he's bloody good at his job.
He's a fucking prick.
Oh,
but you would
he's
want him on your
gross.
side.
Absolutely
you would want
gross,
him on
but
your side.
Yep.
He's incredible, but he basically says in one of the court hearings, what was she supposed to do with her father's penis in her mouth all the time?
Oh my God.
He actually said that in court.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's disgusting.
Yeah. But he wanted that reaction in the jury. He wanted that reaction from people to be like, oh my God, this poor girl.
But that's an incredible allegation. What proof have you got of that?
You see footage of George sitting in that trial and he just sits there stone-faced. He doesn't go like...
But he is a cop.
Oh, yeah, that people keep coming back to that. I just... If that was being accused...
I think...
If I was being accused of that, I don't care what my training was. I don't care.
Have you seen the documentary of their oh God, freaking hell. The lie detector test?
I did.
I mean, he's a broken man,
yes.
but I still, again, I don't know what I think. I really don't.
Same.
I don't know.
When we were talking about that, so this was the one little slip up we had during the week that we were talking about. You said at the very end, something came up in that documentary that made you go, oh, not quite sure. What was it?
Do you mean in the lie detector one or her one?
It was in the lie detector one, or was it in her one? Now I can't remember what we were talking about.
In the where the truth lies one, I think 95% of that I'm like, I can't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. I just can't. She's lying again, and all of the allegations. I think this is awful. But there were parts of the things that she used where there was George Anthony at Kayleigh's funeral.
Oh my God!
And what he said there. Which
I've actually written there, George's speech, in my notes, George's speech at Kayleigh's funeral is fucked.
It is. And the language he used in that.
He actually says at Kayleigh's funeral, Kayleigh's funeral was held while Casey was still in prison, so she was unable to attend. But they held the most elaborate, basically like state funeral. It wasn't a private affair. It was recorded and filmed, and it was broadcast like everywhere. Like you can see it online. You can watch it.
Yep.
George gets up and makes like a fucking speech. It wasn't a eulogy. It was a speech. And he gets up and he says, I loved the sweet smell of her sweat. Oh, excuse me. What the fuck? Casey's take on all of this was that this was him basically admitting that he was a pedophile and that he was abusing her.
Yeah.
Because he was just re-perpetrating. So, sorry, just going back really a bit here.
Yeah.
So when Casey is saying that her father was doing all of these things to her, and obviously she's so traumatized by her account, she's so traumatized by this, it lasted until she was about 12, then her brother started sexually assaulting her. Never raped
He
from
never
her
raped
brother.
her, but
Well, she says he groped her, he'd come in and put his hands up her shirt, that kind of thing. So that's what Casey says happened.
Yeah. Again, both Lee and George deny these allegations.
Adamantly deny it. Then my thought in all that is, then why the fuck, when you had a daughter, did you live under the roof of your perpetrator? And why did you let him hold her and touch her and be around her?
She does try and make explanations for that.
I didn't believe one word of that.
But that's the thing. I didn't believe her, and I always want to believe a victim. I am
same.
And
We have said this
trying.
before.
I've
When someone
tried.
tells you something, believe them.
Yeah.
We have said that so many times
Yes.
before. And yes, in the first instance, if nothing else had come before this and we knew nothing else, I would definitely believe her.
Yeah.
But she has lied about so many things. And how do you all of a sudden remember that you were abused when it comes to a time that you need to defend yourself for the murder charge against you for the murder of your own child?
Especially when her
so
claim in that
convenient.
is that during that 31 days that it was her dad dictating to her that Kayleigh was still alive and that he had taken care of things and that she just had to follow his instructions.
And she goes,
well, if that's the case, then but you didn't know at that point that you'd been abused when you were a child. Like but you knew to follow his instructions and do all the things
that he
why?
said.
Why are you scared of him then if you don't remember the abuse? Like, I don't know. Psychologically, I don't understand whether that's possible and how that disassociation can occur.
Well, according to a forensic psychologist who interviewed her as part of, I think his name was like Kerr or something like
I remember him, yeah.
Or Keb maybe, something like that. He basically said that in situations of abuse of a minor, especially somebody as young as 8 years of age, they do dissociate. That is a very common response. And then you become incredibly compliant. And you actually end up loving your abuser because you think that your abuser is
the safer place to go.
And your abuser is telling you, they're showing you love and you're special. You know it's wrong. So on some level, you know it's wrong.
But also if you go against them, it's actually putting yourself in danger.
That's right. So there's so much to that.
There is a lot in that.
But I don't know. I don't actually know what I believe.
Because she just has not done herself any favours with the constant lying.
No.
That if this is the truth, it's really hard to believe her.
Yeah.
Because, there were parts of that story then where I was kind of like by the end of it, I was like, ooh, there's truth in this. So I did leave that documentary going, oh, frick, maybe he did do this, right? Because in that documentary, they very, very much show parts of George in interviews and in bits in the courtroom where he looks bad.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew, and I'm not an idiot. Like I'm watching it kind of going, this is the worst of him. Like kind of thing. I understand that. And it's probably, I'll probably now go to other places and find things that don't marry up to that, which is exactly what happened. Because then after that, you go to the documentary where they do the lie detector test and like, look, they're very odd people.
They are very strange.
I think that I do think there is an element of this family have created a bit of an enabling situation with Casey being a liar and all these, and I do believe that there's some fucked up shit there to the point of abuse. I just don't know. And he did pass the lie detector test. Not that that's they all and end all.
As you said, it's not admissible. It's something.
Yeah, and he didn't do just one. There was 3. He did 3, and I think Cindy did 1. But they all passed. Clear all of those.
And they were done by somebody who was reputable in that space.
Absolutely.
So give that credit.
I do. But the things in that documentary that got me were how broken they are as a family.
Yeah. I just remember George saying in that how he would go out at night and just search for Kayleigh. He was just constantly exhausted. And even Cindy backs that up. She says, she even says to Casey in some of those phone calls into the prison, Dad's been out all night again looking for Kayleigh. Are you sure you don't know where she is? Like, I feel like they definitely think Casey's involved.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. With the two of them have conflicting opinions. And I think that's where it's broken their family in that sense, because I think George believes it was Casey. Well, I don't think that he's said it. He believes that Casey was involved in this. Now, Casey would say that he's saying that because he was the one involved. Who did it.
Yeah.
Cindy, who spilled the beans on the, it smells like a dead body's been in the car on that phone call, then backpedaled and tried to defend her daughter and has tried to back her daughter and be like, no, I don't believe she would have done anything to her child. Now, and I can understand that as a mother too, that, you speak in the moment of like, the truth and then go, oh, that's going to fuck her. Yeah. I've got to help my child now. I think there's absolutely legitimate parenting, stuff going on there for her. And I think that she's trying to help her kid out.
Yeah.
And I think that she wants to believe that she's not involved, but is led to the, this, well, what else am I meant to believe?
Agreed. I think it's worth actually now us saying what Casey says happened on the day and then what.
Yeah, because she keeps changing her bloody story.
There's so much change to the story, but I guess the latest one is that on that day Casey wasn't feeling 100% and decided to go for a lie down. Kayleigh went with her. And according to Casey, because she was abused for such a long time, that she was a very light sleeper, but on this particular day, maybe because she wasn't well, she was in a very, very deep sleep. 2 hours later, she woke up from that nap and Kayleigh wasn't in the room anymore. They shared a room.
But the TV was still on because that's when she was watching TV in her room.
Yeah. And the door was open.
Yeah.
And she goes out and says to George, "Where's Kayleigh?" And George is like, "Well, I don't know." So they start looking around for Kayleigh. And I think Casey, her recollection or her account is that she was looking inside. George has gone outside and found Kayleigh in the pool, unconscious.
And brings Kayleigh in his arms to Casey, soaking wet, and starts yelling at Casey.
What have you done?
What have you done? Like, and this limp child in his arms, who he hands, apparently, according to Casey, hands the Kayleigh over to Casey, and is basically like, you know, you've
got to
done
deal
this,
with
you
this.
deal with
What
this.
have
You
you
know.
done?
And then he apparently then takes Kayleigh off of her and says, "I'll deal with this. Like, you know, I'll sort this out. You just take off." I don't know exactly.
Basically, Casey then says, "Well, I had to get out of there." So she went to Tony's house.
So then, and George did whatever with Kayleigh.
That's Casey's account.
And
So
according to Casey, then every day from that point, George was ringing her, telling her what to do and how to live.
Yeah.
And to not just keep going. And Casey reckons that she was led to believe by George that Kayleigh was alive and
what the fuck
okay.
she actually, but see, this is where there's
That's-
another conflicting account, because in that documentary she says, "I knew when I held her that she was dead. She was a dead weight. There was no tone to her."
As Cindy has stated, both Casey and George are CPR trained. George, due to being in the police force, and Cindy had expressly said to, as a nurse, had said to her, as a mother now, you need to know CPR of how to look after your child. I mean,
And
very responsible.
If you found a child deceased or like in a pool, limp,
Call
wouldn't
an
you call
ambulance.
911?
Call
That
911.
would be your number one, because you would hold out hope that they could bring her back
This
or
is
whatever.
it. To me,
they could
that
get
child
things going.
in your arms,
They
someone can get here and help me and
they
fix
can talk you
this.
through CPR over the phone.
Yep.
Like even if she wasn't trained, which we know she was, even if she wasn't, George was there.
George,
he could have done it. The
What?
911 operators, 000 operators.
None
they
of
are
that
trained.
makes sense to me, that whole scenario. It doesn't make
No.
sense that him as a cop, he would know procedure in that. And that, look, this sounds freaking awful, that if that's what happened, she drowned in the pool, he would know this isn't a murder charge. This isn't something you're going to get in trouble for.
It's a
An tragic accident has occurred.
Yep.
You do everything you can in your power, and then unfortunately we are going to grieve a death in the family, and that is awful. But there's no point in this where I go, oh yeah, George would have
And like, oh, let's hide the body.
yeah. But that's
then-
where I think that's where then Casey's story then changed. That's what was presented in court.
Yeah.
Now what she says is that she thinks that Kayleigh didn't drown in the pool. George did something to Kayleigh, sexually abusing her, and it's gone wrong and she's died.
So what she thinks happened is that Kayleigh was probably about to call out or making noise while George was sexually assaulting her, that he then put a pillow over her face, probably suffocated her, and then needed to come up with a story to kind of cover his tracks, so he's put her in the pool.
Yeah. So that she looked like she drowned.
So she looked like she drowned. And hopefully, like, if the police were called, I guess, and the ambos came, they would be like, well, this is a child drowning, no further investigation required.
So even if that is the truth, again, why would he then just kept the cover of the story in that?
Well, no, in that case, I understand why George didn't want to call the police.
But no, because to me, like, you've still got enough.
Because if you do an autopsy on her, there'd be no water in her lungs if she was deceased before you put her in the pool.
Okay. But maybe they wouldn't have done an
She didn't
autopsy
drown.
if they just assume she
They
did
would
drown?
have done an autopsy.
Would have done
You
an
would have
autopsy?
to. You would
Okay.
absolutely have to.
In a child like that, you would do an autopsy. Okay, well, he would have known that, yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I still can't understand why Casey didn't.
Why didn't
Because
Casey?
in that
Yeah.
story, she's still there.
Yeah, and she knows CPR.
She knows CPR.
And
she's
she can access a phone.
child. Absolutely.
I don't know, this whole thing, it's
so fucked up.
It is. It's
This
insane.
poor little girl at the center of all this too. What has she gone through?
Oh.
Honestly, because what they found, when they found the skeletal remains of Kayleigh, which was only found, what was it, couple of hundred,
quarter of a mile away.
quarter of a mile away from their house,
Yeah.
in like a wooded area. It is basically like, it is swampy
It's been
bushland.
described as like jungle. Like at that point,
You can't see that far in front of you. Like the photos, it is dense, swampy forest. Yeah, bush or not bush. Yeah, forest.
How her body was discovered is a bit interesting. So,
isn't it?
Yeah. So the phone call came through on December 11th. And now we've changed seasons. And so this area is slightly more accessible in December than it is earlier. Where they were doing mass searches, but that area I don't believe had even been searched because of a number of reasons. Apparently, due to the way Kayleigh gave the story that she had been handed to a nanny, their search area wasn't necessarily around the Anthony home. It was,
even though that's where Kayleigh was last seen alive.
Yeah, I find that very interesting. But that's sort of their explanation as to why that area hadn't been searched thoroughly. But
from what I can gather as well, where she was found was basically impenetrable by foot.
And they had been told not to go anywhere where there was standing water because that's unsafe for
there's alligators
people to be looking.
Yeah.
So they had been told not to do that. And this particular area would have been standing water at the time. So there is a number of reasons why this area wasn't searched when they first started looking for her.
Yeah.
But by December 11th, it was a different lay underground. It was you're able to reach in there a little bit easier. So this guy pulled up in his truck. He worked for like telecommunications was it company?
I believe so. Yeah.
So he pulled up and he needed to go to the toilet. Pulled up at this point and walked in through this bit of bushy ground.
Opening, yeah.
Found a spot to urinate. Went and did that. He took with him a stick of some sort from his particular thing he uses in his job. And as he's walking back out, poked and prodded at this bag that he'd seen and picked up the bottom of the bag a little bit, and out rolled a skeleton, and a very small one for child's size at that, which is awful. So he immediately contacts his boss, who contacts police, and the police come in and they find the remains. And very quickly from that point, they do identify the body, unfortunately, as being that of Kayleigh.
The way the bones were found, they were really interesting. So that again, there's still conjecture around this too. It's absolutely fucked up. But her bones were wrapped in a Winnie the Pooh blanket, which we know matched the bedding in her house at the Anthony home. And then it was in a plastic garbage bag, which had been duct taped together, sealed duct tape around the top.
Yeah.
The duct tape becomes a sticking point in the trial because what the prosecution say is that Kayleigh's mouth was duct taped and that Casey had suffocated her. That was their theory, that Casey had suffocated her using this duct tape because Casey wanted a life without a child. She wanted to go out and socialize and party and do all of the things that other 19, 20, 21-year-olds do without the ties of a young baby or a young child. So that's the case that they presented. A really interesting thing came out in court. Lee, Casey's brother, was called to testify, and he actually testified that in the past when they'd had family pets that had died and they were burying them in the family sort of in the yard or whatever, George would actually wrap the animal in a blanket, put it in a garbage bag and tie the garbage bag with duct tape.
Yeah.
And bury it in the backyard.
Which, yes, George did that, but Casey would have seen him do that as Lee did.
For sure.
So again, I think that rules out either of them.
I think it gives us no more information.
Other than that's something in the home that was done.
Yes.
So then this is the thing, that all those elements that were found, like the Winnie the Pooh, the blanket, the duct tape, which you then find that duct tape, there's other, that duct tape is found, that same brand is found in the home. But also a laundry bag that was there, this white laundry bag, which it can be bought it's bought in a set of 3, and there were 2 found in the home.
At the house, yeah.
So exact same brand, all those sorts of things. So the items that were found with her, it shows that
she
murder
died
scene
at the house.
was at the house.
Yeah.
And that's where she was brought to, was where she was dumped. But so we're not ruling out any of those people who lived in that home again. So it's not. We're getting.
It's not a smoking gun. That's the thing. It's so. It's crazy.
But the other interesting part about the bones being found was that So this all happened that, bones been found December 11th, all this it's ramped up with the case and that sort of thing. So because they're moving towards trial. But it then comes out that Roy Kronk, who was the guy who found the bones, this was not the first time that he had contacted the police and had found Kayleigh's bones. So he had actually called 3 times prior to this. This was the 4th time that he had contacted police about this. Back in August, he had been in that area and had seen something and had contacted police and said, I was in the area of the Kayleigh Anthony home and there is a bag in this spot and it's got some interesting shaped items in it that I can see. I haven't touched it. You need to go and check it out. Yeah, sure. We will. They didn't. He rang the following day and said, has anyone been down there to check that? Because I really think that's something that needs to be looked at. Oh, yeah, we'll look at it. Yeah, no worries. No. On the 3rd day, he got really frustrated and he rang again. And he goes, I'm down here now. I need an officer down here to meet me and come and have a look at this because I think this really needs to be looked at. So an officer goes down there and meets Roy Kronk at the scene, takes one step in and goes, I'm not fucking going in there. He goes, mate, you're really wasting our time. I don't understand why you're wasting our time. This is ridiculous. Turns around, goes away. So, interesting enough on its own that he has contacted that many times. Then back in December, by the time this is still going on, and he's like on his way doing his work going, that's been ignored at that point. Well, I've got to go urinate anyway. I'll go in that site where I've been looking, I've seen things. And that's why he prodded a bit more is what he's saying. That by the time he got there, then he's like, no.
That's why he took the stick out of his van.
Took the stick with him, everything. That's why he did that was he was like, no, I'm going to prove this myself then because I think that this is something. And he was right.
Yeah.
Now, the defence decided that, he's got something to do with this. And they actually accused him of moving the bones and taking them away or putting them back there or having them and doing something, being like the culprit of all of this. He's none of that.
Well, they were just trying to throw reasonable doubt on it.
Absolutely, and it did throw reasonable doubt.
Yep.
Although, again, in this documentary I was talking about, they did a really thorough look at in terms of the bones and how they were found and the way that the growth of things were around the bones, the fact that there was ivy like growing through parts of them and how long it would take for that to occur, the decomposition, all those sorts of things of how long those bones had been sitting where they were, regardless of him poking and prodding and moving things. Were these bones ever moved from that site? And it was very clear that it would take at least 5 to 6 months for that amount of growth to occur. On the stand, though, some random expert, and I'll put that in inverted commas, said that it would only take 2 weeks
to grow
for that growth to occur.
Oh, come on.
I mean, where do they find these people? And how that frustrates me in terms of the court system of like putting someone on the stand that clearly had no idea what she was talking about. That throws me entirely. Like it's the poor jury trying to make these decisions. Then you've got people being able to be sat on a stand as if they're experts and giving really false information. Yeah. I mean, as a layperson, and I've mentioned this before, I'm not a gardener, but I would look at that and go, there's no way that would be 2 weeks worth of growth.
No.
I don't know how that was ever allowed.
And how the jury were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, they weren't. They, oh, no. Oh, I'm confused.
Well, we don't know. we don't know. But they probably, it could have gone either way, actually. Oh, yeah. It legitimately could have gone either way for them.
Yeah.
The prosecution offered a plea bargain to Casey.
Okay.
20 years in federal prison with no death penalty. She said no fucking way because she is 100% innocent. Mate, even if your story is true, the story that you're telling the court, you are not 100% innocent.
No.
You've still hidden the fact that your child is missing.
Yeah.
You've hidden the fact that your child is likely deceased.
Yes, which is what I find interesting. So at the end of this, ultimately what's added to her charges, she was charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and 4 counts of providing false information into law enforcement. Now, the child neglect that she was charged with originally, I think should have stood as well, because even if, as you say, if she wasn't the person who actually murdered her child, she definitely was neglectful in that she wasn't reporting her missing.
No, 100%. 100%.
So I have to say, at the end of all of this, that's the only one positive thing out of this, I reckon. There is actually a new law called Kayleigh's Law that has been put in place in, I think, 11 states have employed this into their legislation. And what that means is that a felony charge is required for a parent or legal guardian that fails to report a missing child in the cases where a parent does know or should have known that their child was in possible danger.
Good.
So that would mean that in this situation, if this occurred now, no matter what, as a minimum, Casey would have received a charge of that, a felony charge of child neglect for that. So that's one thing that Kayleigh's law that has come into place is a positive of this.
Yeah, that is true. That's something. The prosecution also said they went through like all of the computers and stuff in the home and the tech, and what they found was that there was a shared family computer, and so it had, you know, we're sort of going back now into the early 2000s where you had different profiles. So you could select your own profile as you booted up your computer, and every member of the family sort of had their own profile. I mean, a lot of laptops and stuff have that on it these days as well.
Yeah.
And Casey's profile had been activated, and Google Chrome, this is actually quite funny because they're like, well, we know it was either Casey or Lee who searched this because they used Google Chrome as opposed to Internet Explorer, because only old people use Internet Explorer.
That's hilarious.
But Google Chrome had been used to search foolproof suffocation at 2:49 p.m. on the day that we think Kayleigh was.
But the prosecution didn't know that.
No.
At the time of trial.
That's the problem. Anyway, there's just so much stuff. And then when Casey's asked about that, she says, well, we all knew each other's passwords, so it could have been anyone.
But other family members dispute that.
They say no.
Yeah.
They say that, there wouldn't have been any need to know each other's passwords because they had their own profiles on the computer. It wasn't like one password to log into the computer.
Yeah.
It was a password to log into your specific profile.
Yeah.
So they say they didn't know her password. Whether or not that's true, who knows? There's so many lies and...
But if the prosecution had known about that search, that would have actually... So the defence's argument of this entirely was that it was an accidental death, that George was involved in covering up the baby, the body and everything like that. So by that search of the suffocation, foolproof suffocation, it would have dismantled their case because it now becomes, well, it's not an accidental death.
Yes.
So that could have blown all of that out of the water.
Yeah.
But the prosecution were not aware of that because of they said it's a lack of funding, which is such absolute crap. Like apparently the person who was put on that job to look for all those searches and things only looked at one internet browser. They weren't looking at other browsers. So it was only like looked at Internet Explorer and not at Google Chrome or Firefox or something. Okay. Yeah, like it was to that was what occurred. So that's why the defense knew that. The defense knew that existed. They had someone look at it. They'd paid someone, more money to look at those different browsers, whereas the prosecution, so they all had the same hardware information.
Yep.
But the data being looked at was looked at by two different people on the defense side and the prosecution.
Interesting.
So, that's where it had been disclosed, but not to that degree.
The other thing that is really interesting is the fact that George's phone records were never subpoenaed by the police. So what we know is Casey's were.
Yeah.
So we know she was at or around their house until about 4 p.m. on the day that we now know Kayleigh went missing, which was the 16th of June. We don't know where George's phone was pinging from on that day because his phone records were never subpoenaed. Now, you've got to think about this.
I was listening to something where they were.
No, they were never subpoenaed.
Okay.
What we know is, so the home records were though.
Right.
The home phone records were, but that doesn't prove where George was.
No.
We know phone calls that came into and out of the home phone, but we don't know George's mobile phone record.
Right.
And what that actually means is that we don't know whether George was in or around the house at that time. That would have given a lot of weight to Casey's side, Casey's version of events. So but listen here, though.
Yeah, okay.
George immediately established himself with the police investigators as a detective. He references it constantly during his interview. He's like, oh, I don't want to come across with my detective hat on. Oh, I don't want to use detective speak when I'm talking about this. So I feel as though they were like, oh, yeah, mate, don't even worry about it. You're one of us.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was possibly a failing there too. But then do I believe George had something to do with it? Yes, but what? I don't know. I'm just like I'm so
torn as to whether he is the pedophile that she describes him as, or whether he is this doting, beautiful grandfather.
Well, Casey, this is the other thing, right? In one of her prison calls that you can hear,
yes,
she says to him, because he goes, I feel like I've failed you. I've failed Kayleigh. And she goes, Dad, you are the most beautiful father. You are the best grandfather. But this was before.
Casey's language in that is past tense. You were the greatest grandfather.
And we didn't know at this point that Kayleigh was deceased.
Her body had not been found yet.
No. But then she catches herself.
Yes.
And she goes, and you still are.
Yeah.
And you still are.
Yeah.
Well, no, fuck off. You've already, she's dead.
Her language in that is very interesting.
Yes.
But also, and this again, we can't believe anything that she says.
No.
And so I don't know whether to, like, in that moment, are you just appeasing your father and saying what you think he wants to hear? Or are you genuinely like, no, Dad, you've been great. It does my head in.
I don't know. And I don't know what to believe. I don't believe her.
I don't believe her at all, but I don't believe any of them in that family. Like, the only person I think I do believe is Lee.
Agreed.
I think he's got his head screwed on. And I think he's over it. Because between the mother-daughter relationship of Cindy and Casey is also fucked up.
Yeah.
But then I do think, is George just this poor bloke who's been dragged along by these two women, and of this relationship between them, I think that dynamic has caused him heartache well before this as well.
Yeah.
Obviously with, the graduation stuff and then the pregnancy stuff, all those massive lies that have been in that family for so long. And I can see an exhausted man. I mean, he did attempt suicide, we should say, in January what year was that? From 2009.
Oh, was it? Oh, no, you're right. It was
22nd of January 2009.
Yes.
So Kayleigh's body was found in the December, and he did genuinely attempt suicide in the late January. And the letter that he wrote in that, so before, what happened was he texted family and friends saying goodbye to people. He went to a hotel and took a shitload of pills.
70 pills apparently.
He genuinely was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sat whilst the pills were taking effect, he wrote a letter. But obviously by these text messages he'd sent, people contacted authorities. They tracked him down and they did get to him in time and saved him. But the letter that he wrote, I think that indicates him not having knowledge. He asks a whole bunch of questions in that letter around, like, I just want to know what happened to her and how did she get to where she was found, and the stuff that if it was a confession, and he's more likely to, if he was involved, to me that was the time he was going to confess it. And psychologically, that apparently is what people do. Deathbed confessions is a thing. It's genuinely what people want to do. They want to exit those things from themselves before they pass on. And so to me, that was the time to do it. And he didn't. What he confessed was this guilt of, I didn't do enough. I've made mistakes, but not to the point of I've made mistakes where I've abused my daughter and my granddaughter, or and murdered anyone.
He did say that I'm sorry for what I've done to my family.
Yeah, but I think that's where I read that in the context of the entirety of the letter.
Sure.
Of that he hasn't managed to. Not the family's broken and he hasn't managed to be able to keep it together.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's how I.
So he's assuming responsibility from that angle, not for the
I haven't
actual
been good
murder.
enough as a father to stop this, or whatever, or I haven't been.
And then in that letter, he also references playing with Kayleigh in heaven, and
and he actually signs it off as "I'm here, I come, Kayleigh."
Yeah.
Which.
I don't know, but then if you look at that from the lens of like a pedophile, you're like, well, that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's I just don't even know.
Did he just freaking adore his little granddaughter?
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. It's so frustrating.
It's so fucking frustrating.
Oh, but God, I don't even know where to even begin. It's just horrific.
It is horrific. It is absolutely horrific.
In this whole case, though. Obviously, as we said, in Florida, their laws and things around the sharing of information. So the minute this became a trial case and the minute that the prosecution disclosed all their information to the defense, all that information also is disclosed to the public.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is public knowledge of like all these interviews with police, all these, you know, phone calls in the jails, everything becomes public knowledge.
Yeah.
Which part of me is like that I love that because then I get all this information. But people take this to the nth degree.
Oh.
And I can't handle, regardless of how guilty anyone of this in this was, random strangers rocking up at someone's doorstep and screaming at them and, you know, abusing them.
Yeah.
I can't handle that. The videos footage of that occurring, I just found really distressing.
I feel like that's, look, no offense to people who live in the United States, but there is a lot of sensationalism around these things. I don't think you'd find that behavior in Australia.
No, I really don't.
But because, as you said, because things are so open and everything's accessible right from the get-go, people feel
they're part of it.
So much a part of it and like they need to insert themselves into it. So like, for example, this is the other thing actually that I wanted to talk about that gives me the fucking ick about George and Cindy. So when Kayleigh went missing, they set up a foundation, like the Find Kayleigh Foundation or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was called. And they raised a lot of money. They had these T-shirts printed that had Kayleigh's face on the front and then all of the contact information on the back and stuff like that.
Yes.
They raised lots of money, which was meant to go towards the search for Kayleigh and then, you know, what the funeral, like people were donating money because that's what we do when we don't know what else to do. You know, that's a very human thing to like, I'll help in any way I can. If
Throw
I can
money
give
at it.
some money, I will.
Yep.
And George and Cindy went out and bought a boat with the proceeds and they called it the
Kayleigh's name on the
Kayleigh Marie.
side.
It was so fucking gross. Like a
so over the
speedboat
top.
too. And
It was
so over the top. $600,000 this boat was.
Do they keep that?
Yeah, I believe so.
See, that's
Just gross. And that just goes to me, because actually they went out on the water one day and when other people were actually conducting searches of the area, like I'm talking, I don't know what the equivalent of SES is in the United States, but, you know, volunteer community organizations who look for people in these situations. There were community members out searching and all of that, and they're out on the water, but they were doing that to promote Kayleigh. Who the fuck is going to see your boat when you're out on the ocean in Florida? Like, no, mate, that's not. And they came back and they were sunburnt and everyone was like exhausted from.
Oh, day out on the boat.
Well, no, everyone was exhausted from a day searching for Kayleigh.
Oh, well, they were, yeah.
And they've come back a bit sunburnt from being out on the boat all day. Like, it's just so, they're all so fucked up.
They don't help themselves.
They don't help themselves.
What planet do you think that's
Okay.
And
then, like, there was that other bit with George having the affair with the woman that he met.
But he says that never happened.
He says that never happened. But she testified in court that it did. She testified under oath that they had an affair.
Yeah, I know.
What she got to gain or lose from that?
But it was a very well-known... I don't know, because then are people like, hungry for attention? I don't know.
Oh, come on. If that's the case, then she's a sociopath at least.
Well, then you would be. Absolutely. But... George swears he's like, he had a conversation with her and got to know her, but there was never an affair.
But George also had other affairs throughout his marriage to Cindy. That's known.
Is he
that's fact.
admitted to that?
Yes, he's admitted to it.
All right. Oh, then, okay. Then
like, it's just so fucking fucked up. And there is so much to this story that I feel like every time I listen to something or watch something, I was like, another thing came about and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Wow.
All of this could have been saved if a 911 call was placed, if that's even what happened, if a 911 call was placed when they discovered that Kayleigh was deceased in whatever way.
The thing with this is typically with these sorts of things, I get to the end of these and I can go, I think I can place together enough of something that went on.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Same.
I just can't.
I don't even know. And you and I often will come to a similar conclution often.
Yeah. Our similar conclusion this time is nothing.
Because I don't know.
When has Kayleigh died, how she died, who did anything, how accidental it was.
I reckon Kayleigh died on the 16th-ish of June. I think she died early on in that 31 days.
Oh, yeah.
I think Casey absolutely was involved somehow. I think... or at least knew something.
Yeah.
I think same of George, actually. I think he's probably somehow involved. I know you've got a very different
Well,
not a very
I
different
do.
take.
I don't
but
know if I do or not. I find it
But
really
then
hard.
I couldn't convince someone of that.
No.
Because I don't like I'm not convinced.
Nah. I
just think where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
So there's somebody, like, I feel like they are all involved in some way.
The only thing I think is that in all of this, the trial, etc., I think as wrong as it is, the jury got it right
Yeah.
in acquitting Casey.
Yeah.
Because the prosecution didn't have a case.
No.
The defense did a very good job. As we said, I would definitely employ him as my lawyer if I ever get called done for murder. He is incredible at his job, but also the prosecution was shit at their job. The case wasn't there. They did not have a strong enough case. They've gone to court with a first-degree murder charge and they did not have the evidence to back it up.
I feel like they thought that because of all of the media
dunk.
sensationalists.
It's O.J. Simpson-esque in terms of the, we've got this.
We've got this. It's fine.
So easy. Everyone knows that she did it.
The other thing that I found interesting with the trial is they sort of recognised that there wouldn't be enough people in their county to get a fair and unbiased jury. So they just got a jury brought in from 100 miles away.
Yeah.
As if they didn't know.
But it was national news what was going on.
So something like 66 million people around the world watched the trial live.
Holy cow.
66 million.
I really need to get on a court TV a little bit more often, I reckon. That's crazy.
Oh, well, the Diddy stuff.
Karen Reid.
Karen Reid. Oh, my God.
Mushroom.
There's so many.
As if they don't. I wish they'd televise it here.
Yeah.
So the jury did the right thing. I applaud them in their take on it, and I feel for the jury because clearly the public didn't agree with that. And so I know there was one juror was interviewed around because they can do that in the States, whereas here you wouldn't be allowed to do that. But they interviewed this woman and she's like, it's like my dirty little secret that I was on the jury pool because you can't tell people because they just abuse you for like as if you got it wrong. But she's like, they got it right. They did do the right thing. They did get it right. And not because I do believe that Casey, to what degree I don't know, but I do believe she was involved and do believe she should have had consequences. But they didn't get it on the day. Like the prosecution did not have the case as there was reasonable doubt.
The other thing is, absolutely there was reasonable doubt. The other thing is though, the prosecution and the police, the fact that they took Casey to trial so quickly really hasn't worked in their favour because of the double jeopardy laws that apply.
This is it.
And so she will out. Never, ever, ever, even if they find a slam dunk, she can never be tried for this again.
No, that's exactly right.
So, they've potentially done a massive disservice to Kayleigh if they ever find out any evidence that points to the fact that Casey was involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, who's making these decisions? Like, I feel like in Australia there wouldn't have been enough evidence to support putting this person through to a trial.
Yeah, well, the other thing was that they felt what undid them as well was the prosecution, as much as the jury did have a choice of what they could actually find her guilty of. They could have found her guilty of first-degree murder, which held the death penalty, which obviously that's pretty hardcore, and that can bring some pretty big emotion into it, that a jury might go, I think that she did it, but does she deserve the death penalty? So there was also on the table, obviously, manslaughter, second degree murder, manslaughter, and aggravated manslaughter. They were all on the table as being possible outcomes. However, the prosecution again did themselves no favours, and everything they presented meant that the jury had to find her guilty of first degree murder. That was all they aimed for, rather than giving options of, okay, if you don't believe that story, it's potentially like maybe it's this that would slot into a second degree murder, or maybe this happened in manslaughter. They never gave the jury those options really in terms of what they presented. So the jury, it was basically an all or nothing option for the jury. And so when they sat down to look at this and go, it's not first degree murder, they haven't got it. The only other option was, well, if it's not that, then it's nothing. Yeah. So that's I think they probably could have aimed a little bit differently and gone for a manslaughter. on it and been.
But they didn't.
And
here we are. Casey is now working for the investigators who helped out in her case.
Yeah.
She's working as a...
She lives with him too.
A research... Not anymore, but she
okay.
did for a long time. They took her in after a trial because she had nothing. She had no money. She had nowhere to go.
She started a photography business at one stage, but didn't get much work.
Would you? No. She's estranged from her family, from her mum and dad. To leave?
I think so, but her mum, she has some communication with, limited.
Okay.
Because her mum does still sort of support that, thinks that she doesn't, out publicly says that she supports her daughter.
Okay.
Whereas she has no relationship with her father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's accused.
How could you after what you've accused
you couldn't.
him of? No.
You couldn't. For whether it's true or not, you couldn't. So, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And she calls him George. She doesn't call him Dad anymore.
And she calls Mum Cindy too.
Yeah.
Which,
I think, I've just realised the time.
One other thing though.
Please.
Because there was some text messages between Cindy and Casey after all of this, that one of them actually got me of that narcissistic trait in her mum, was that they were having this bit of argument over text message and particularly around the ashes of Kayleigh, which Cindy will not give to Casey. Now, she's been acquitted, but
they're not hers to keep, to
they're
be
not.
honest.
As much as I'm like, I do think that Casey had something to do with this.
Yeah.
She's her mum. I think she needs at least split them in half. I don't know. Not that I like doing that. I don't think that's okay. But you need to find something out here because she does need to. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're arguing over that.
Yeah.
As Casey's asking for Kayleigh's ashes, and her mum's response to her was to send her the photo of Kayleigh's remains that were found and go, well, you did this, so I'm not giving you the ashes.
Are you kidding me? I didn't know that.
And the way she says it is the way Cindy explains this interaction and shows the text messages to the interviewer is so detached from it of so I just responded with this.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'd be like, so I kind of maybe did this and it wasn't right, but I sent it. There was no element of that.
I was feeling a bit
really
vindictive at the time.
I know that's probably really hard.
I shouldn't have done it.
I shouldn't have done that, but I did. No, it was, so I sent her that. Yep. What are you going to say about that?
Well, Casey says she wants the remains. She wants Kayleigh's remains because she wants to be able to take her to all of the places she didn't get to visit when she was alive.
Cindy also said in that same interview then of I will scatter Kayleigh's ashes before I die, so Casey never gets them.
Oh, fucking hell.
That is vindictive.
That's vindictive.
Yeah.
And that poor little girl, oh my God, at the centre of it.
They bring it back to Kayleigh.
There is a dead 3-year-old, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I can't with these people. I can't.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
So what we haven't said too though, so obviously at the end of this trial, she was acquitted of the first degree murder. But the only thing she was convicted of was the lying to the police, which 4 counts of lying. She admits she's a liar. She even says that now to this day. I do lie. I know I lied. So she did lie. So with that came a 4-year sentence. With so the judge decided with time served and good behaviour, which she was in prison for 3 years during this trial period and all that sort of thing. That she with time served that she was released 10 days after the trial completed. She was out free,
and that's it.
That's all she got. Poor Kayleigh.
It's a big one.
Oh my God.
At the end of it, we just our heart breaks for that poor little girl.
And she's so gorgeous.
So beautiful.
Oh, so cute. A little spunk.
Yeah.
So sad.
Okay. On that note, we're going to leave it there. As we said, so much information, so much. In fact, please do yourselves a favour, and even if you just go and watch a few clips on YouTube,
listen to the 911 calls.
Yes, if you just do nothing else, they'll blow your mind. And also to put faces to these people.
Yeah.
I found when I could see them, it really gave me another perspective again,
Yep.
and to see their mannerisms and stuff. So
Yes.
please let us know what you think too. Like, I am so curious to see what people's takes are on
Please
this.
send us your thoughts on this. Have we got it wrong? Are we, you know,
What have we missed?
What
Or
have I
we
missed?
not? What have
I
we
feel
not?
like I have to have the whole time researching this. I'm like, what am I missing here? Because
and
or
what have we not considered, or what angle have we not considered?
This is it. 'Cause people are very very staunch on their ideas of this. Whereas
and we're
this is one where
open
I'm
to
coming out
hearing it
going,
all.
I don't know what I think. I
Yes.
really don't know. I can't. Oh, I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. What have we got for next week?
Next week is 50.
Woohoo! So we put out a bit of a shout out a few weeks ago for people to give us their suggestions, and we have come up with, Meg, what are we doing?
We're actually going to do Martha Stewart.
Yeah, girl. So stay tuned next week for our big 50. We're really proud of that milestone. Thanks to everyone who's been along for the ride. We really appreciate it. Please, as we said at the start of this episode, like and follow us on all the socials, and on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. A like, a follow, a comment goes a really long way.
Join the conversation.
Thank you.
Tell us what you're thinking. Yes.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.